Welcome to Personal, the podcast where we get to know the real person behind the professional. I'm your host, Charlotte Nichols, and today I am speaking to Ronnie Peet, who is Global IT Director at Sage. Ronnie, how are you neurodiverse?
I am, I suppose the definition of neurodiverse is a difference in the way I think and the way my brain's wired up compared to others. So the way I would describe it is my brain doesn't really know how to relax or shut down, so kind of with your thoughts all the time. And sometimes those thoughts aren't great, sometimes they are. So what that leads to is, or it used to lead to, before I kind of got my diagnosis and was able to manage it and medication and all that kind of stuff, it leads to just, you're permanently on the go. So it leads to a lot of anxiety, fatigue. Like when you're at your most tired, you're kind of at your most ratty as well. That would happen, but not because of me. Now I know that, but because of the condition. But I didn't know what was going on. And then what also you get is something, I think they're called comorbidities or something like that, where if you've gone through your life with things like this, you have protection mechanisms. One of those is, I think it's called defiance disorder or something like that, where you've been so used to kind of getting told off, for want of a better word, or kind of pointed at as being a problem. You kind of learn to defend yourself, but that sticks with you even when you get diagnosed and you understand it. But some of that's still in there. And then you get stuff like tics. I had tics and I had habits. I remember one where for some reason I just pulled all my hair out there and got myself a baldy patch. And I don't know why. It must have been anxiety. So officially what I've got is ADHD, but it's severe. You when you go to one of the assessments, you kind of get your parents have to fill in a questionnaire, someone from work, your wife, all that kind of stuff, just to kind of describe what you are. You sometimes have to get your school reports.
Yes, I've heard that.
To the psychiatrist, and then they rate you. I think it's 7 on the distraction bit, and 7 on the hyperactivity bit. I got 7 out of 7 for the distraction. I got 6 out of 7 for the hyperactivity. So, and I'm quite competitive as well, so I was kind of saying to the psychiatrist, why couldn't you not just give us full house?
Full marks.
Does it really matter? And so that kind of, when I heard that, I just broke down crying after the call, because it was just at the start of COVID, so it was on a...
Okay, so this is quite late in your life being diagnosed.
Oh, yeah. So I kind of broke down crying because it just all made sense. Not in our happiness, to be honest. And I was able to, because of the way my brain works, I like to kind of understand things and how it fits together, and quite good at that, because you do get some superpowers with it.
Absolutely.
And I was just able to understand it to a point where I could manage it a bit better.
Okay.
Then the medication came, which was hard at the start, but it's really odd, because there's medication that would make a normal person with a normal brain, like, I'm not going to say normal, it's a terrible word.
I know what you mean, though. Mm-hmm.
Like,
considered normal.
Yeah, considered normal. It would make them kind of hyper, really hyper.
Because is it amphetamines? Yeah.
So, but for me, it just calms us down.
That's crazy.
It's so weird.
I wonder how they discovered this.
Probably in a nightclub or something.
Yes, one calm person in the corner. You must have ADHD.
Yeah, it's and I get the medication I get can only be done once a month, and it comes in like a protected packaging
with a padlock.
When they deliver it, it's like, what on earth is this person taking?
Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, I think that's how I would describe it. But you also get like a bit on the spectrum, because ADHD is it doesn't really describe it as well, because there's different levels of it. If you get like severe, you don't have the treatment, you could drive yourself insane, I think, because you just wouldn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think when I got that diagnosis, which was when I think it was 5 years ago, I would have been 40 odd. Let's just say early 40s.
Okay.
So don't give that away.
Yeah.
It was, you look back and think, well, that's 40 years of coping with that. And not only that, but I grew up in the 80s where it wasn't understood. So you kind of like think, oh, what would it be like if I found out earlier?
Were you just classed as naughty at school?
Yeah, I mean, I failed all my exams at school and I didn't know how or why.
Right.
But no one else did, so they were like, well, you must have just been playing a game or
not trying,
or like manipulating the situation or something like that. And that really hurt. I mean, I still feel that pain now walking home after finding out. It's still raw at the moment. And just feeling like a complete and utter letdown. But when I look back, what I think it really was exams. I couldn't keep concentration in exams because they're so long, and you're just stuck in the same place.
Yes.
You're like, oh, and then the anxiety would kick in, saying you're gonna fail, and then by the time you look at your watch or whatever, an hour's gone, and you're like, I've got a massive mind block for pretty much all of them. I'm not saying I was a model student by it anyways, but I think although it was tough at the time and going through the stuff that I've just described, you kind of think to yourself, well, would you change it? Because those types of experiences, although hard and like really confusing, when you get to adult life, things come up. And if you've been through things that are like that, you're more likely to just take these things that come up with this like a steely attitude, because you've probably been through things as worse when you were young. So yeah, the other thing is when I was at work, I would, depending on what had happened that day, I'd sometimes come across as being too direct.
Okay, yeah.
Like, which can be a little bit on the spectrum as well, but I've learned from that, and I think I controlled that all right. But when a lot of people heard the podcasts that I've done in the past, when I kind of started talking about this, they kind of came up to us and said, well, now I understand why I thought you were doing that. I thought you were a ex, but really you just had a bad day, because sometimes if something had happened in the morning, let's just say something was just like frustrating us, I didn't know how to manage it. So when 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock came, I'd just be zonked out. So I would just be like, oh, my brain doesn't work. And so if I had like a meeting around about that time, be like, well, you were all right this morning, what's the matter with you now? But I think I just managed it really, and somehow just kept going. And then it's been like a massive eye-opener. Now I'm on the meds and I know what's going on, because you're just able to see a lot more in life, because you kind of before the meds and all that, it's like you're just going from one situation to another, dreading it and thinking, well, I've just got to get into this and get out of it. Right. So you don't really like look around and see life. Even with the kids, I've got 2 kids. One's 19, one's 16 now. And just that responsibility of having kids in my 20s and early 30s, I suppose, when they were really young. That was tough because you just put more pressure on yourself. And did I kind of like look around and enjoy that? Enjoy them? Probably not.
It's hard at the best of times anyway, even without ADHD, you know, everything's so fast paced.
Yep.
Do you feel that the medication's almost given you a bit of headspace and breathing room? How does that feel after so long?
Oh, it's great. I use a phrase. So when I was working prior to it, I used to have to get up really early because I'd consider myself being 2-0 down in that game compared to everyone else, like in a football game.
Right, okay.
So I'd have to get a couple of equalisers in before everyone started.
Oh, that's a really interesting way of looking at it.
And then, but now I don't feel I have to do that.
That you're not always playing catch up.
Yeah, and what I'll do now is I'll get up, but what I do know, because I've done quite a lot of research, is when you get up, the chemicals in your body are kind of getting used to you being awake. And when you sleep, I think it's a hormone or some kind of chemical, which is related to kind of like depression.
Okay.
But it gets out your system relatively quickly.
Right.
But with me, that feeling for, let's just say, half an hour after I woke up, if you kind of took that feeling, oh my God, I feel so depressed, I'm panicking, I'm going to panic, and then panic, you could be like that for the rest of the day.
Okay.
But if you just think to yourself, all right, this is normal, in 30 minutes it'll pass, so just don't do anything. So now I just don't do anything half an hour after I've woken up.
Right.
And it makes a world of difference.
By not doing anything, do you meditate? Do you just sit there?
I'll just get my computer out and just mess about and watch YouTube or the telly or something.
Okay, just give yourself that freedom.
Just something that hasn't got a deadline attached to it, or isn't going to be like, oh, I haven't done this or I haven't done that. And then it passes quicker.
Okay, yeah.
Because what I find is once I get into a cycle of panic, I might as well go to bed because that's my day gone.
Right. Was that you defeated from the start?
Yeah, like, well, I'm not even going to be able to get the functionality in my brain to work, so what's the point?
Is it the cortisol levels on a morning that's...
Yeah, it's that, yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact ones, but I do know that.
Melatonin, maybe the nighttime one? I don't
melatonin's the one that kind of makes you go to sleep.
Right.
But, yeah, I think just knowing that, though, makes a hell of a difference because you know how to manage it. And therefore, I can't remember the last time my day was just ended, but it used to happen a lot, where I'd just get in from work and go, I have to go to bed. But the good thing about me, I think, was the next day I'd be fine. So I was able to, like, it would only be a day. I wouldn't, like, let it linger.
Okay. And could you almost achieve double in that next day?
Sometimes, because you'd wake up and sometimes you'd go, well, yesterday was a bad day, I don't want it to be like that.
Yeah.
Somehow that would get over that anxiety feeling. Sometimes it wouldn't.
Okay.
But I always wondered, it's like, all it takes is one sleep to get us back on track. One sleep.
So sleep's incredibly important in managing your condition.
It is. But I think if I have too much, or if I have a regular amount, let's just say 7 or 8 hours.
Okay.
It does the opposite. It kind of makes us feel like...
Oh, really? So 7 or 8 hours is bad for you?
For me,
So what's optimum for you?
Like 5 or 6.
That's really interesting.
I've just recently figured that out.
That's so interesting. I mean, I question whether I have ADHD. I might not. It certainly isn't on, as a higher level as yours. Yeah. I hope you're not offended by that.
No, I'm not offended at all.
But I've always found that I'm more alert if I have less sleep than if I have a lot, because then I'm drowsy, I'm a bit useless. But maybe that's just normal, but it's just another thing that makes you think, oh, maybe. I mean, I guess everyone's on the spectrum, aren't they, to a varying degree? So.
Yeah. And what I've found is, I don't really know why I started doing this, but I just had this overwhelming urge to like talk about it, warts and all.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
And what that does is it helps me because I just I think there's something inside us that just wants to broadcast the world, look, I had this and this is why I might have acted like I did.
Yeah.
Or this is why I might have failed, or I thought I'd failed when I did. But I've kept going with it because I've done like live talk-ins and all that kind of stuff at the Baltic with Tech Next Dynamo and all those type of good things. And every single time when I do one, at least 3 or 4 people will contact us saying, either I've got that, or I think I've got that, or I feel like that. And the feeling that I get when I'm able to give some advice and open like the communications if they want it, that's just amazing. So it gives me a good feeling. I think it gives them a good feeling. It's a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
So
good for you.
I continue to do it. And, there's just something in laying it all out, warts and all, that helps me. And I can't really work out what it is, but it does make us feel better each time.
Absolutely. And you want to feel heard as a human,
Yep.
even if you don't have you haven't been through any specific battles in life. But it's almost, I would want to feel, if I was you, I would want my teachers to be hearing this. All the people who told me that I wasn't good enough or I was a failure, look, this is the reason why. And also, you mentioned you've got superpowers. Tell us more about your superpowers.
So I suppose being in IT is kind of perfect for stuff like that. Because in IT, it's just what it is nowadays is, and it probably always has been, you talk about data, you talk about logical processes that kind of fit together. So this bit over here is related to this bit over here, and how you link them together, how you integrate them into the final output, what are your inputs, all that kind of stuff. That comes really natural to me.
Okay.
And what also comes really natural to me is working out relationships and emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Because I think I always thought I was going to be in trouble. So if the headmaster at school would say, Ronnie, I want you to come and see us in the office, I'd never think, oh, get in, I've done something good. Which some people might. Some people used to go for awards, or get awards. But I never thought that. It would always be to get some house points taken off us or something like that. That's another thing. They used to take house points off me, but the house points are like a team thing. So not only did they take them off me, but the house I was in would lose points. It's But that was when I was really young. I've lost my train of thought there.
So have I. Where were we going?
Superpowers.
Superpowers, yes.
So yeah, I think because I always was thinking, oh, you're going to get in trouble here. You just become an expert at reading body language,
right,
and how people are feeling, because you've had to do it for an odd reason. But that because you've done it for an odd reason, it doesn't mean that you're not good at it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then so in the job interviews, I'm incredible at job interviews because I can just I can see by the body language whether they'd fit into the team.
That's such a good skill to have.
And if someone's got a problem in the team and then just acting a little bit different from their baseline, I'll recognise that.
Okay.
And the technical stuff like writing code and stuff and understanding technical things, I'm pretty good at that. And so my dad always said, don't work in a manual job, because he did. He was a sheet metal worker.
Okay, yeah.
He used to work really hard physically, night shifts and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
He's like, you better start getting yourself a job in the office. And I always liked programming and get the home computers, the Amstrads, and try and work out the code. So I tried to get into IT through the civil service at the time. That was my first job. And managed to get an opportunity and just grabbed onto that with both hands, because that's what I wanted to do, because I knew there wasn't a lot of jobs that I would be suited in, but that was. So as soon as I got that one opportunity, I was just straight in.
Just worked your way up.
Yeah. And just the the things that you wouldn't think, the skills you wouldn't normally think that you would get from something like this, just like come naturally. Go, oh, this is brilliant in this setting, especially IT leadership, because you do have to you have to understand the technical people who traditionally they are also on the spectrum.
Right.
Or introverts, let's just say.
Okay, yeah. You
Because
don't like to stereotype, but they often do fit.
A lot of them would rather sit in their house and code by themselves and see their team once or twice a week.
Yes.
Because they've got a job to do. They have a lot of solace in just them and the machine and figuring out the logical puzzle. So I understand a bit of that, but I wouldn't say I was an introvert. I don't know how this has happened. So I can also do the extrovert bit, like talk on shows like this.
Absolutely, yeah.
And like go out and socialise with work people and things like that, and enjoy it. So IT leadership for me was perfect because I was able to do those things. And I think if you haven't got one or the other, it's very difficult. You can do it.
Yes, you're right.
But it's very difficult because you want to be able to converse with the leaders who aren't kind of like massive techies.
You've almost got to speak two languages, haven't you?
Yeah, 2 languages or 3.
Yeah, okay.
There's the leadership,
yes.
the technical people and the one in the middle.
And
that they both understand.
Yeah, the end users maybe as well.
Oh, them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's been. I had quite a, let's just say, baptism of fire, because I went to work for Deloitte.
Oh, okay, yeah. How long ago?
That would have been about 20 years ago.
Oh, right, okay.
Now that's kind of at the cutting edge of everything, really. You've got to be on your game all the time because clients are paying for you by the hour, and quite good rates as well, I suppose. And I had to go down to London. I started that in London. So I left the civil service for there because Adam was born. So you're like, oh, we need to get more money. We're in debt and all that.
Yes.
So I went down to London. That was like, I done it to this day. I used to drive down there every week on a Monday, 4 o'clock in the morning. Get there. I mean, I enjoyed my time at Deloitte. After 6 months, I got to Leeds, then I got to Newcastle office, so that was great.
Yep.
I had a great time there, but it's hard if you've got young kids.
I can imagine.
In practice.
Yeah.
So I was out in Zurich for about a year.
Okay, hard on your partner.
Yeah, and then Isla came, so Louise had 2 to deal with, and I'm like, well, I'm flying off to Zurich. See you later. And then I'm tired when I came on the weekend, so I just thought, well, there's more to life than kind of making a lot of money. So decided to get a job in the Northeast, and luckily got one with Sage, and I feel like now after 14 years there, it's like a family for me.
Yeah, that's lovely.
It's not just a workplace anymore. It's because I've like known a lot of people who have, especially because I've been there that long now, who I've hired, and now they're like miles better than me, and that kind of thing is just like, you look at it as a family and friends rather than work colleagues.
That's nice to hear about a big corporate, because you sometimes hear the opposite. Not necessarily about Sage, but just almost it becomes this cold factory, almost turning over things and transactional. But it's lovely to hear that it's a family atmosphere.
In some parts it is. It's because it's a massive global firm now, 23 countries. But because it grew so fast, and obviously the idea of Sage was invented in the Quayside in Newcastle. And they grew so fast because they worked out how to kind of use the computer to do accounting rather than a logbook.
Yes.
So you can imagine they came up with that idea one of the first companies to do so. As soon as that word got out that you don't have to do your books like you used to do anymore, you can do it electronically, the sales was just massive.
I know.
So because they took off so quick, I think there's still a little bit of that heart in Sage. They haven't threw it out.
Had time to strategically work it out almost.
No, they
yeah,
haven't.
yeah.
So it's still there.
Yeah.
Obviously, as more people leave because they've retired, I'm always kind of desperate just to keep that heartbeat
Yes.
of Sage.
That's a really lovely way of putting it.
So when we get new people in, you're kind of looking for the people that'll... It's weird, actually, now I'm thinking about it. Who will carry on the legacy.
Yes. Yeah.
This is meant to be a job, you know what I mean? It's
But it makes sense.
It becomes more than that.
And it's lovely that you're so passionate about it. One question I have, because obviously now you're on drugs to control your ADHD day to day, what would happen if you stopped taking them?
Well, there was a real life example and experiment of that in October last year, where there was a shortage of lots of medication around the world for whatever reason. And I got told that mine was no longer available. And I actually take the maximum of one type of medication in the morning, 70 milligrams. But I also have boosters in the afternoon.
Okay.
But the main one's the ones in the morning because that keeps us going. We just got told that couldn't get them anywhere. You couldn't get them anywhere. So I ended up trying a different drug, which I think was designed for narcolepsy. It helped us a little bit, but then it just wasn't right. So I had to go cold turkey. So that would have been October, November time. And I didn't get out of bed for 6 weeks. I was incapacitated. Because I think it's a bit like, in what's the Train Spotting, when Renton has to get off the heroin and he's got all these Lucozade and all that kind of stuff.
Do you know what? I'm terrible for watching films.
Yeah.
You've probably seen it, right? I haven't seen it.
It felt like that. Not quite as bad because he was on heroin. But you just you're there and you just can't move. You just feel like you what's the word? Not stabilised. Anyway,
Demobilised.
Paralysed,
right.
I couldn't move, and then I would just be really upset sometimes, and I can't remember much of it. But I do remember my son, who's 19, having to come in and try and calm us down, which is never what you want when you're a dad.
No.
But he did a good job, and my wife called the crisis team in because they were worried. There wasn't a lot they could do though, because it's the thing that's going to solve it is the medication. Then after about 8 weeks, I'm going to say, started to come back, the meds slowly, and I thought I was going to, because I thought it was it's a thing that you just take, then it would wear off, because it does wear off during the day. And I thought once I got the normal amount in a day, I'd be all right, but I wasn't. It took us about 2, maybe 1.5, 2 months to just get back to normal.
Scary.
But Sage were great. Just kind of understood and give us the time. When I came back, I didn't have to get right into it. So I know firsthand what it would be like if I ran out, and it is scary.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine not having them.
Do you almost stockpile a little bit now just for fear that happens again?
It's hard to because you can only get
exactly, I suppose,
them for a month. And my psychiatrist has to review every year. So it's all very well controlled.
Yes, I guess it has to be with
the
type of drug.
Why a lot of people probably would have just had some left over, or whatever. If they had something not as restricted, they might have been able to get through it. Whereas mine was just a hard stop, couldn't find them anywhere.
It's scary again, that could have killed people as well. And yeah, how do you feel knowing that you a lot of people are reliant on drugs? I'm reliant on my asthma inhalers. But how do you feel, just being reliant on drugs now? Do you worry about other health implications of being on them?
No.
It's just so much better
Because
quality of life.
I wouldn't have a life if I didn't have them.
Okay.
So let's just say my life gets shortened by a few years, then...
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a price I'm willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it does, because amphetamines raise your blood pressure, make your heart rate go a bit faster. But I don't think they're poisonous, and they are quite short-term things.
Okay.
And they do. This is why you asked us if I wanted a cup of a hot drink before.
Yes.
I can't have caffeine because it interacts with it.
Okay.
It like competes because they're both stimulants.
Right.
Oh, it's horrendous.
So what happens if you take coffee on top of them?
Oh, it's horrendous. I get my nervous system like just it kind of goes into overactive mode. So any noise, and I'll be like, what's that? And I feel like I'm going to die at any second.
Okay.
Because your nervous system just puts you on the...
it's on edge.
On edge, because you think you're going to get attacked. It's horrendous.
What used to happen when you took coffee, or when you drank coffee before going on medication?
I didn't have a lot, because I think it just never really agreed with us.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd feel okay, because it was a stimulant, but it's a different kind of stimulant. But like, it's weird, because sometimes I'd have a cup of coffee and feel more tired.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's going on here? It's like, what happens to a lot of people? I seem to have the opposite effect.
When I'm fit and well and healthy, I'm really sensitive to caffeine, and it makes me feel super alert, like sometimes too much. But when I'm feeling tired and need the caffeine, it has no effect. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
And how about alcohol? How do you interact with alcohol?
Oh, I've got an interesting relationship with alcohol.
Okay.
Because looking back, when I discovered alcohol, what I discovered is a way to be in public without any anxiety.
Right. I guess that's quite addictive.
Oh yeah, because you're like, oh, I can be normal here. I'm not thinking about the things I normally do. I'm not tripping myself up. I'm not. I can be relaxed. So obviously you have that. And growing up where I grew up in the Northeast, there is a culture of drink. Mm-hmm. You don't drink. You have different friends.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If you do drink, then you can have the friends that you want. It just so happened that my friends also drank.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I was like too much, and I'd have too much, and I'd get palatic, and like loads of times I'd wake up and not know what's happened on the night before. But I think because I just loved that feeling so much, I just wanted more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So that kept with us. And I kind of, when you have kids, you don't really have that much time to do it.
No.
So that's a good thing. But COVID was a strange one for me, because it started off, I decided to do a bike ride for, this is getting alcohol, you have to bear with us.
Okay, no problem.
I decided to do a bike ride for the Mind charity by myself from North Shields to Whitehaven and back in 2 days.
Wow.
Because of the COVID stuff, I wasn't allowed like a support vehicle or anything like that. So I just did it by myself, which is crazy. Raised like 12 grand. And that was a great achievement. But what happened is COVID, when I did that, it was like, like when COVID happened, they were like, don't ring in for like non-emergencies, because there's people were kind of stretched. That was when I did the bike ride. But then when I'd finished, we'd got into you can't do anything, you've got to be locked down.
Mm-hmm. So
because I was just like a little bit fed up of going out riding like hundreds of miles training, I want to have a break here. And I got into that horrible habit that a lot of people did. It's like, you got nothing to do on the night. As soon as work finishes, you straight into the fridge, get in a can. So I think it was about a year and a half I drank every day. Not like massive amounts to get drunk or anything like that. I couldn't go a day without having like 5 cans of Colin.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There's other brands of
It's totally fine.
just lager, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
now I'm off it. But it took a while.
Did it affect your health?
Yeah, because it probably, I didn't like have any like illnesses or anything like that, but I just felt like I was dependent not only on the medication, but now this.
Mm.
And interestingly, now I'm not drinking every day. I am, however, having one of those white chocolate Magnums every day.
You just switched your addiction.
It's just amazing now. I'm like, I'd much rather have that than 4 cans of lager now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We all need treats.
Honestly, I think I've always got to be addicted to something.
Yeah, and do you think that's part of the condition?
Yeah. The minute I'm addicted to like building artificial intelligence stuff.
Okay, not a
'Cause
bad
it's
addiction
new.
to have.
Yeah, it's new and it's like, it's incredible if you can get it right.
Yeah.
But that can get me, because when you've got this ailment, you something called hyperfocus.
Yes.
Where you actually don't even know what time it is. So I can be doing this thing, it's not quite working, so I'll be like, right, I'm gonna beat this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear the birds tweeting, and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. You've been up all night.
It's almost like you've got to complete it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then and there.
Yeah, nothing else. Like,
Yeah.
I've got a dog, and he's called Wilson, and he'll come up. He's a Bedlington Terrier.
Oh.
He'll come up and he'll like scratch at us and all that. And normally I'll be like, yeah, let's have a play. But if I'm in that mode, I'll just go, yeah, I'll just stroke him a little bit. Then I'll just feel a massive amount of guilt. I'll just feel guilt because I've done it. But it's hard to get out of it when you're just like, right, I'm going to do this.
At least you understand it.
Yeah,
now.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and that must help.
It's with the relationships, it does the world of good because you can say, that's why I did it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like,
How does your partner cope with it?
better now we understand it.
Yeah.
I think I'll always remember. Louise had been out and this old lady fell over. Oh, there's a shock on this actually. This old lady fell over, and she helped this old lady. She had blood all over her face and things like that. And Louise came in to tell us the story, and because I must have been in one of these like modes, I kind of like brushed it aside and I went, oh well, I hope you don't get an insurance claim against you if you were involved. Like a ridiculous thing to say. And then the old lady actually came to visit us in our house, but Louise didn't feel like she could bring her in to see me because she didn't know what my reaction was going to be.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that was just heartbreaking.
Do you lose empathy when you're in hyperfocus?
Yeah, just nothing else matters.
Yeah.
But I think at that time, pre-diagnosis, I was just defiant about most things. Like if it was a topic, I'd go on the extreme side of things. And that's so draining in a relationship.
Yes.
So, I mean, I couldn't have been easy to live with. Not at all. I think I'm better now, but I'm probably not the right person to ask that. But I'm getting feedback that I am better now, I think.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And I think I have a problem with like really close relationships, especially for people that I've known in the past, because there was a period of time where I started to resent, like, you've been in my life pretty much every day for years. How did you not spot this, what I had? Yeah. I mean, I'm over that to the most extent. But like, you get all those questions, it's like, what? Why did you not know? Mm-hmm. Why did it take me to work it out? Because I'd worked it out. Because I'd listened to a podcast. Adrian Childs, it was.
Oh, right.
He was talking about his drinking problem.
Ah, yes.
But also all the things that was going on, and he's got ADHD, and I was like, that's. And he recommended a book. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like one of the top theorists on it from America, and I read that book and I was like, I didn't read that book because I can't read books. I don't have, so I listened to the book. And I was just like, this is exactly what I've got. I think he terms it as, think of a race car that can go like massive speeds, but it's only got like bicycle brakes on it. That's what your brain's like.
Right.
You can't slow it down. So I was thinking, well, why did everyone around us not see us so I could get... But then I realised it's like, I grew up in the 80s, 90s, it just wasn't understood.
Wasn't on the radar, was it?
No.
You know?
So this is another reason why I'm passionate about speaking, because if we can get someone who can get a diagnosis 10 years, 15 years earlier than I did, they can have a better life.
And change their life, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's really
not
admirable.
just for them, but for the people that they live with.
Yes.
Because I think you can love someone and you can be with them in a relationship, but that doesn't mean they don't irritate you 24/7 and make your life a misery. You still love them, but wouldn't it be good if you could love them and they didn't make your life a misery as much?
Yes.
That's how I kind of think of it.
Yeah, no, it's really admirable that you're willing to share your story to help other people. And moving off the topic of ADHD, you had a really harrowing experience with your daughter. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, my daughter Isla, we're kind of similar.
Okay.
We have this relationship, and I don't know how I thought of this. I just thought it was a good way to kind of keep a bond between father and daughter, but I agreed with her that she could tell us anything she wanted and she wouldn't get told off. Like, whatever's on her mind, if she says that to us, then I've got a promise that she won't get into massive trouble. It works because you kind of like, she will come and say stuff.
Yes.
Not so much now when there's boys involved. That's another.
There's a limit.
That's another challenge I'm going to have to face.
Yeah.
But we during the COVID time, we noticed she just started to like not be able to hear us if we were speaking on the right hand side. It took ages to get an appointment because of all the COVID and stuff for the ear specialist, and we went to see the nose, ear and throat doctor specialist, checked her out, said nothing unusual, checked her out again, just that we can't really figure out what it is, but you sometimes can get a virus that affects your hearing.
Okay.
But what he said was, what we do as a precaution in these circumstances is get a scan, MRI scan. So she went for the scan on I think it was a Sunday. Yeah, it was a Sunday, went for the scan. Like, you have to be in that thing for so long. And then the parent has to stay. So you're in there for like 2 hours.
Right.
I just listening to music.
Yes.
And I'm like going, what am I going to do? So just on my phone. But then on the Monday, we got a phone call from the hospital saying, "Oh, can you come see us tomorrow?" So we're like, that's a bit odd. Because they don't normally get back that quickly if it's a good thing. So when we got in to see the ear specialist, I could just tell, because when we got called, like, there was a person to come and bring us in. The doctor was sombre, and like, oh, there's something really bad here. So sat us down, and Isla was 14 then, and said, "There's no good way of saying this, but there's a brain tumour, or what we think is a 2 centimetre brain tumour, right, like where the ear canal is, at the back of the head." So you're like, what? How do I deal with that? But I think all of the things that I've done and work and just to get through the disorders that I've got just kind of made us not panic as much.
Okay.
And think we're solid enough to kind of get through this. And this tumour is a tumour. We don't know yet whether it's terminal or whatever. But I remember, because they've got to tell the patient all of the things that could happen and all that. I don't know why they do it, but they have to. Mm-hmm. But when we got outside, Isla just didn't understood what he'd said. So I had to I said, Don, you've got like a brain tumour in your brain, you're going to have a brain operation. So she's like, well, am I going to die? I'm like, no, you're not. So I had to tell her, that's heartbreaking. Yeah. Because you could see the realisation in her face. So then your world's just being turned upside down. Nothing else matters then. You're just like, can we get this operation? And I have to say, the RVI were absolutely brilliant. There's only 2 people, I think, in the north that can do brain operations on under 16s. Okay. We were in the hospital a week and a half later. After that, we seen the first scan. So it was a Thursday night, and I was with her, and she was nervous. Kept coming in taking blood because you've got to take the right blood for the transfusions. Okay. So she knew she was gonna get her head like cut right open at the back. The skull was gonna be slightly broken. Get right in behind the ear and try and get as much out as possible, right? But before that, she was gonna get the anaesthetics. So she was more scared of that. Right. And then because there's junior doctors and things on, the main consultant can't do this thing all the time. Sometimes getting the blood out would go wrong. Okay. So she'd have to have loads of that. Right. But I stayed with her all night, and I was like, she couldn't get to sleep because she was worried. So I was like, what should we do? So we watched Love Island for 2 hours. I've never really watched it before, just to kind of like calm her down. Oh. And then she couldn't. And then she just put her hand out on the bed like that. So I held her hand. And then she slowly dropped off to sleep. And I'm like, right, I've got to stay here. I stayed like that for about 4 hours, 5 hours, because I was worried if I left the hand, then she'd wake up. And then she's got to have the stress again. Yeah. I'd rather I'd just be asleep so she doesn't have to worry about it. Yeah. I'll take the worry. So she got a decent sleep in. And she got seen in the morning about 8:30 in the morning. So we're like, what do we do? So we just bought her a Newcastle strip with her name on it and just tried to like do things and teddy bears and all that. And 6 hours later, we got a phone call saying they've found it. They couldn't get it all out. Would we come to the hospital? So this was, if you imagine, because it was in the back of her head, they put like a skull cap on her, right? So she can't move. She's obviously on morphine. Yeah. And she's down, flat down, face down for 7-8 hours. Yeah. So we got told she's all right, didn't get it all out. The surgeon thinks that it's benign just by looking at it. Okay. But they were saying, we don't take that as evidence. It's going to have to go away and get tested. Yes. But then we went to see her in the recovery room, and she was just high as a kite off morphine. She was just like... And then I just always remember... Because she's funny. I just remember when it must have been wearing off, and she just said to the nurse, I'm not even high anymore. She's like, I can't give you any more. Aww. But she couldn't move her neck because it's just so stiff with being in the same position. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of think, well, that's good because it could have been obviously terminal. Yes. It looks like it's benign. We'll have to wait for that. And she's alive. Because you just think... I just remembered. When I left her when she went into the operating theatre, I remember going outside at RVI hospital and just like, I think I was like crying, saying, don't take me baby away. And there's like people coming into work on the buses and I'm like crying my eyes out. Because I think I just had to have that release. Yeah. It's awful feeling because you just got no control over it. You just got to trust the doctors. Yes. And then it was all about getting her back on recovery. And because she's young, it didn't take her long to get back to normal.
Really? How's she doing now?
Really good. She's just done her exams.
Oh, that's amazing.
So she didn't lose out. She lost out on study, but the school was all right on it. But now, if you looked at her, you wouldn't know. She's got a big scar on the back of her head, but she's got long hair anyway.
Yeah.
She'll never hear out of her right ear again.
Oh, okay, right.
That's gone. Can't do anything about that. She has to go for scans every 3 to 6 months for the next 9 years or something. But that's it. The scans used to be, in the early days, they used to be very worrying because we were told it could change, and then if it did change, there was this different type of treatment that we could go to Manchester for, but we'd have to be there for 8 weeks. So you're thinking school, you're thinking work and all that, but that hasn't transpired because it hasn't grown. But now, she's just like normal.
Well, I wish her all the best. It must have been a horrific experience for you to go through.
It was, but I think trying to look at the positives, the relationship Isla and I have got now is like ultimate trust, because she put her trust in me to look after her.
Yeah.
And when you get time, it's hard to spend time with young teenage girls because, as a dad, because they're normally away, like watching whatever, or a bit with their friends, because they're very sociable girls at that age. But to have that time with her was great, and
so precious and
kind
valuable.
of keeps us like that relationship for the rest of our lives, I think.
Yeah. Oh, well, at least there's a positive that's come out of it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your stories,
No worries.
Ronnie. We've got our regular 10 questions to end on. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, how would you rate yourself at the following? How good looking are you?
8,
Brilliant. How funny are you?
9,
How good at cooking are you?
2,
How good at singing are you?
7,
How good are you at drinking alcohol?
10.
How good are you at parenting?
7,
Excellent. How good a friend are you?
9,
How intelligent are you?
7,
How kind are you?
7,
And how good at sex are you?
7.
Brilliant scores. Thank you so much.
Have I won?
I think you won.